Right, okay, let's move on to module 3, the maneuvering principles. Like I say, these are the principles that you have to consider when you are devising stratagems for the situation you are in, and then also think through whether these stratagems is able to help get your intention or not. So you use these principles to help you sift through the stratagems that is in your mind. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about something called the rules of engagement. What it means here is that if you are thinking of engaging with another one, engaging doesn't mean those marriage kind of engagement. Means engage means, for example, you want to go into a negotiation, or you want to go into what do you call that? Persuasion, convincing, influencing someone, or arguing. And this is called engage. Okay, so if you want to engage someone, make sure in your mind you quickly run through all these rules and whether you are violating any of these rules or not. So if you are violating, then probably hold back first. All right, think through, then move in to engage. So let's move in and look at what are the few things that we need to learn about. Now let's talk about maneuvering principles. There are 3 key maneuvering principles. But of course, inside these 3 key principles, there are many other sub principles, which I will talk about it later on. Let's talk one by one for now. So what are the 3 key principles? Number 1 is the master principles. Master principles means if you can get this right, you're always in a 无咎 position. 无咎 means no blame, no regret, no fault kind of situation in that kind of position. So if you can pass these master principles, you're in that kind of 无咎 position. Number 2, the principles of concealing intention. Okay, this is number 2, this is number 1. Now, principles of concealing intention, basically what it means is to take an indirect approach to things. That means whatever is your intention, the yang, hide it, hide the yang, show the yin. Something like this. So it's called the principles of concealing intention. So this is called yin-yang approach. I will talk more in depth into this later on. And the third principle is called the principle of engagement. Okay, principle of engagement. This will comes in handy when you are about to make your move. So what I think you should do, what I think you should not do. So let's talk about master principle first. Master principle. Now it says here, 胜兵先胜而后求战. Loosely translated, it means superior party wins first, then fight. Okay, wins first, then fight. What it means basically is what I mentioned just now, is to win without fighting. That means even without fighting, you already win, or that this is the most, what do you call it, the best war that you've ever fought. This is a master principle. You can get this on your side, that means you're in that 无咎 position. So on the flip side, inferior party fights first, then seeks to win. So now we have this 天尊地卑. So the 尊 part, the superior part, always win first, then fight. The 卑 part means the inferior party always fights first, then seeks to win. So it's like response and reaction. Those who react tend to lose out. Why? Because when they react, right, they're trying to fight, trying to win, but in the end they lose out even bigger. For example, real life example. Now, if you look at it, have anyone noticed that Japan every year they will have to apologize to the whole world for World War II, for what they did in World War II, right? So Japan did that, okay. So but for US to take down Japan, how come US no need to apologize, and Japan has to apologize for something similar that US has done? Why is that so? Okay, what's the difference? So you want to know the difference, then you look at this master principle. So US also know know this kind of principle is that superior party wins first, then fight. That means even without bombing, US already won already. Okay, so therefore, since US is already on the winning side, so no harm dropping the bomb. Although it is a disastrous outcome lah, because it's atomic bomb, no joke But in the end, they are in a no blame position or 无救 position. I mean, I'm talking about US now. But for Japan, no. Japan is fight, 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 so that they want to win. They conquer countries because they want to win. So therefore, they are considered the inferior party. If you can think back, AOM1, we talk about hexagram 6, and this is basically what it means here. 地水师. Si means if you want to bring out your army, anyone can recall what are two conditions that must fulfill first before you can bring out this hexagram energy? Can anyone recall? Try to recall. Type in the chat box. Thus, if you can recall one, type one. If you can recall the second one, type the second one. If you can recall two, type the two. So I hope to, at the same time, pull back some memories, jog back your memories a bit, so it becomes easier as I go on and talk about AOM3. Very good. Mary say valid cause. Okay. Next, Alan say legitimate reason. Very good. Helen say legitimate cause for the greater good. Very good. So if you want to have these master principles on your site, then always think back about hexagram 6. Think back about the two conditions that you must meet first. Then if you pass these two conditions, then you can go ahead, invoke this and the energy of hexagram 6 地水师. Then you're in that winning position. I mean, you win even without fighting. Right? So if I can refresh you a little bit, this is what we talk about in AOM 1. And we always want to be in the 无咎 position. That means 立于不败之地. That means you cannot fail from that position one. That's a position that we want to stand on to do the fighting or to do the winning not fighting to do the winning. Okay, so for example, US start a war to end a war. Basically, that's what it means here So even without starting the war, US already so-called win the war. So I mentioned on the flip side, inferior party fights first, then seeks to win. In Chinese, it's called 败兵先战而后求胜. Okay, 先战而后求胜. So fight first, then hope to win out of the fight. But a lot of time, when you fight first, mean you are reacting to the situation. When you are reacting to the situation, most of the time you are already on the losing side. For example, if you can recall, I think 1 or 2 years back, I think this is in 2019, there's one condo residence. I don't know where it is. 8 River Suite in Whampoa, I think, in Whampoa. 8 River Suite, this condo resident verbally abused a security guard, makes police report against harassment. So really physically abused the guard. So this is called inferior party because he fights and then seeks to win. But the guard, security guard, didn't really retaliate. So in the end, what happened is that the condo resident, the one who's the aggressor, have to apologize to the security officer that he had verbally abused. So why like that? It's because the security guard take on the position of a superior party, superior position, whereas this resident took on the role of the inferior party. That means he fights and then try to win. But the security guard, all right, is already in that winning position by not retaliating. Okay, by not retaliating, he's already in that winning position. Therefore, what comes after next is, the losing party has to apologize to the winning party. So this is what to the security guard means I win without even lifting a finger. Or winning without fighting. This is the best war to fight. Now, we must always try to maneuver with a growth mindset. I mean, the open mindset and the growth mindset. And when you do that, there's always something fresh to see. So if we deal with a situation with a closed mindset, we will not find a way out. Okay, we will not find a way out. I repeat that again because it's fixed already. And no matter what you do with AOM3, no matter how many quad that you casted, how many cards that you pick up, you will not find a way out because you're having a fixed mindset. And once you have opened up, you'll find that a lot of insights can come in, a lot of fresh inspiration can come in. That is where things start to move, and that's where you can plan your next best move. So for those fixed mindset, maybe you can, look at the next slides. Like for example, you always argue about whether, if you are one of these people who only see this glass half empty, okay, and keep harping why it's half empty, then perhaps you may want to pour the water into a smaller cup and then become full. Then you look at the smaller cup, then to you become a full glass of water. So basically, it's just a 1 degree shift in how you see things. You have a fresh perspective, and the fresh perspective is becomes an opening where you can get out of that situation. So this is what we aim to achieve through AOM3. So that is master principle. That means win without fighting. Win without fighting. Basically, this is what it means for the master principles. Now let's move on to the second set of principles. Is called principles of concealing intention. Now, what I mean by concealing intention is that you may have an intention, but in order for you to be able to move and win, maneuver out and win, that your intention must be concealed. Concealed means in a covert manner. Okay, so let's say, for example, if you are, if you're strong, you're really strong, you should appear weak. 能而是自不能. That means if you're strong, appear weak. And if you are weak, of course, you have to appear strong. Sometimes it's like that. When you are weak, you appear strong. So this is number one. Now, number two, if you have a desire, you appear to have no desire. That means if you want something so badly, you have to show that actually you don't desire that. Okay, this is number two. 用而示自不用 means you know you have that desire, but you don't show that you have that desire. Sometimes when you show so obviously that you like certain things, especially when you go to buy something, right? And then some unscrupulous salesman, when they know that you was dying to get that, they purposely, raise up the price and things like that, to get advantage of you. So don't show that you have that desire. Next, when you are near, appear far. And then when you are far, appear near. So basically, these are the few principles that, the principles of concealing intention. Now, why is this important to know about these principles? Is that if you are dealing with experts, okay, a black belt in maneuvering, for example, a black belt can be a blue belt, brown belt, whatever belt. That means they are considered experts. And if you are only those who are, like seeing is believing, and you only believe what you see, then you are only using a fixed lens to look at things. And you're using a fixed lens to deal with that black belt. Then you're always at a disadvantage. So what I'm trying to tell you here is now, since that you have learned AOM1 and AOM2, and now we are at AOM3, you should be better off than many other people out there. You should be able to know how to use variable length lens. That means for a same situation, that means you vary the lens size and width and depth to look at that same situation. You find different things. Maybe, sometimes you find that, actually he's not that weak, he's pretty strong. So I may want to take precaution, or I don't go head on, because he may be luring me to go in and go head on with him. I better not, something like this. So you must learn how to adjust the depth of view. This is the entire purpose why I bring this up to say, when you're dealing with experts, black belt, they are very good at concealing their intention. Now, I'm not talking just about war, I'm talking about daily living. You may have come across experience like this, when you want to give something to some other people, they tell you they don't want, but actually they run it very, very, very badly. All right. So just be careful. Now, sometimes even in real life, you find real cases like this. For example, last year in Malaysia, okay, our neighboring country, now a dark horse came out to be the PM. In the end, everybody were looking at M and A. Okay, you know who is M and A? These two, they were like two dragons fighting against each other at line 6 already. All right. And then in the end, both became casualty. And then suddenly, Tian Feng Go, the bottom ink, take over everyone and become the PM for Malaysia up to today. So you see, he has hidden himself very well, very well. And when he won the game, I think a lot of people are caught by surprise. So this is what I mean by you conceal your intention when you make your move, so that you won't appear as a threat to other people. Next, let's move on to the third part. Principle is called the principle of engagement. Basically, this principle of engagement very simple. Very simple. The key principle here is avoid the brute, strike the soft spot. Chinese is called 避实就虚, right? That means if it's something that is stronghold for them, for the enemy, you avoid the strong part. Don't go head on knowing that he's good in arguing. Then you don't go and argue with him because you know you lose verbally. So avoid that part, but strike the soft spot. Okay, strike the soft spot. I mean, look at him. Where's his weakness? Where's the soft spot? Where he's weaker than you? As long as it's weaker than you, then that one is your soft spot already. So go through that approach. Hit on or strike on the soft spot. Basically, this is called principles of engagement. Before you move in, you must already know where's the strong part, where is the weak part. Ultimately, no matter how strong the other party is, or no matter how strong you are, the chain is as strong as the weakest link. Okay, the chain is as strong as the weakest link. As long as you have one weak spot and people know where's your weak spot, there you go. There you go. No matter how strong you are, verbally, whatever, physically, no matter how strong, if you have one soft spot, one weak spot, and people know, people will exploit that weak spot. And that you become the victim. That is how scammers have successful stories to tell. Okay, because they are very good at spotting other people's, their victims' weak spot, and they go all the way in, attack and strike at the weak spot. So when we learn this, AOM3, especially AOM3, you find that you can be the aggressor. That means you can be the one devising stratagems and make the move. And on the other way, you may be dealing with someone who know how to use stratagems. So you want to know how to spot all those things that they are doing and come out with counter stratagems, which I will be talking about it also, the counter stratagem part. Okay, Mary's asking, when property hunting, yes, cannot show that you know feng shui when property hunting or lose the bargaining power. Exactly. Thank you for sharing, Mary. Exactly. So that's what it means by concealing your intention. Now, if you can recall, this is many, many, many years back when our LKY was still around. If anyone can recall, SIA had a strike, I think more than one time, the strikes, but this was one of the higher profile strikes. The pilot band together, do a strikes, and they refused to fly the planes. Okay, So it's not because of COVID cannot fly, it's because the pilot, they don't want to fly. Now, Singapore is very dependent on the what call it, the transport mode, especially the flight, the air travel, because they bring in money into Singapore. Now, when pilot go on strike, Singapore almost come to a standstill. The economy come to a standstill because it's greatly impacted. We cannot bring tourists, we cannot bring cargo, we cannot bring a lot of things. Come to a standstill. So, but the government or the authority couldn't really do much with this group of protesters, this group of so-called strikers. But our MM, okay, our MM use one strategies, and then straight away resolve this strikes problem, and straight away, the air travel resume. Okay, so what happened was that, let me just retell the story. Like I said, story really sells a lot. Is that, let me read out what it says here. Singapore has expelled a union activist who angered the country's influential senior statesman, LKY. So this Captain Ryan Goh, a Malaysian, led a campaign at Singapore Airlines to push out the union leaders who accepted pay cuts and redundancy last year. Okay, so the authorities told Mr. Goh that he was an undesirable immigrant in March. So if you can recall, MM actually called in the big group of this group of people into a private meeting room, and MM is one person against many pilots. But MM only go against one person. Okay, go against one person, and that person is called Captain Ryan Goh. It happened that this Captain Ryan Goh was the one in the lead, the so-called the leader of the pack. So he just, what MM need to do is to tear down this leader, and the whole team straight away become dispersed sand, 一盘散沙, and everything get resolved. So basically, MM actually use stratagem. What it means here is that MM avoid the brute. That means no point going against the pack. If that group is strong, what MM did was prepare all the information. Find out all the background information against each of the union, that person, and find where are all the weak spots. So, like I said, the strongest chain is as strong as the weakest link. So, to many people, that Captain Ryan Goh was supposed to be the strongest link. But in the eyes of MM, this Captain Ryan Goh was the weakest link, and he struck that weakest link, and the whole chain broke off. Okay, so basically, this is how MM deal with the thing, by using stratagem and by avoiding the brute force and just striking on the soft spot. So when we say avoid the brute, means if the enemy is strong, you prepare. You prepare information, you prepare data, or you prepare your own resources, whatever, just do all the preparation work. If the enemy is superior, okay, you just have to siam lah. Don't go head on siam in Hokkien called siam, okay? Now, strike the soft spot. How do we strike the soft spot? In the art of war, it suggests 6 ways. So this is just a guidance. It's not a must, but it's a guidance to say that, if you have prepared and done your homework, your study on the other party deep enough, and you know which one is the soft spot and how do you strike, then this is the guidance for you. For example, if that person is found to be greedy, then you use bait. How to strike? Use bait. Okay, strike where? On the greediness. So if the situation is chaotic, then you loot. How to strike? So the chaos is the weak point, and how you strike, you loot. Okay, so this is one guidance. Next one, if the person is temperamental, then you agitate some more. I mean, you irritate some more. when someone is very rash and temperamental and get easily agitated, if you irritate a little bit more or you flare up, and then you lose all the rationality already. Okay, so this is how this art of war is suggesting like it's as a guidance lah. And if it's arrogant, you feed the arrogant, blow up, make his head blow even bigger. Okay, and when that person become very very arrogant, as though they felt they are untouchable, that is where their soft spot is already. Their strongest their strongest point become their weakest point, because their strongest point has reached all the way to the max. It become the weakest point. And if they are at ease, that means they feel very at ease at what they are doing. Then you disturb them. Like for example, suddenly you drop a bomb in Japan, not Japan. Suddenly drop a bomb in Singapore. I don't think many of us know what to do because we are so at ease with our lifestyle right now. So this is what it means. If at ease, disturb. Now, if it's united, okay, if it's united, then that can be a soft spot. Remember in AOM2, we talk about if two united, it can 气死人, that kind of thing. So same thing. If it's two united, it can be a soft spot. And how to strike it, the soft spot, is to separate the unity. So if you look back at that Captain Ryan Gold case, the SIA pilot strike, which one do you think LKY used to diffuse the situation and resolve the problem? Which one? Mary, thank you. He said I heard he asked him one question: are you a Singaporean? Exactly. See, his LKY, before meeting them, he did what he's supposed to do. Okay, he did what he's supposed to do. He did this. If that team is very strong, so LKY just have to do preparation work. Okay, siam first, don't meet first. Siam first, prepare. Okay, prepare all the data, prepare all the background check and blah, 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 blah. And then once he's ready, okay, once he's ready, then he will look at this. Where is the soft spot? Is LKY able to find a soft spot in the group? All right, so he found it, and he found it to be the strongest point, which is that leader of the pack, Captain Ryan Gold. Heng lah, okay. So yeah, and Mary said, I think he used separate the unity. Very good, very good. Correct, Mary, very good. So exactly, he used this approach. If united, separate. Now, it's very applicable, no? If you talk about 36 stratagem, art of war, and the AOM3, it's very applicable to and relevant to our daily living, because, you don't know what kind of situation you are in. And if you're in certain kind of tricky situation, you want all the help that you can gather. And I believe AOM series is one of the good tools that you can rely on to make you be clear-headed enough to step out of the situation, look back, and then come out with the next best move. So here's a very simple example, and can show you this simple example can be used to resolve national issues also. Okay, national issues like the SIA pilot strikes. Yes, very good, Mary. He used this. If united, separate. All it does need to do is to strike on the soft spot, which is Captain Ryan Gold. He's a Singaporean. He's not Singaporean, but he's Malaysian. So his interest is not for the Singaporean. So straight away, the other members straight away saw the whole thing. And, I think what LKY also mentioned was that this Captain Ryan Gold had the home house in Australia, if I'm not wrong, and they were planning to migrate there. So if they migrate there, then of course, Singapore won't be their homeland, even though, something like this. So this is how LKY strike on the soft spot, dissolve the whole team unity, and resolve the whole issue also. So basically, last but not least, for module 3, is number 1, have a growth mindset. Don't keep on having a fixed mindset, because fixed mindset won't get you out of the situation. The moment you open up and be willing to receive new insights, new inspiration, that is where new doors will open up. So number 2, think out of the box. Okay, think out of the box. And number 3, be creative. Be creative. I think this is a very difficult part for some people, because some people are not born to be that very creative. So it's very hard to be creative all of a sudden. But never mind. What I'm suggesting to you, which I'm also doing for myself, is that whenever you see a very good life examples, you record it down and take note. What's the situation? How would you have dealt it? And how would that person have dealt it successfully? So you can call that whatever action that person has taken as a stratagem, or something like this. Keep a record. Then that become your own library. Maybe I call it the 37 stratagem, 38 stratagem, 39 stratagem. Up to you. Okay, create your own library. And last but not least, be inspired. Okay, be inspired. Like for example, like say sometimes you're in a situation, if you have this card from me, what you can do, you can just take out one card and then look at this hexagram, then refer back to the reference guide and see what are the suggested stratagem that you can use. Now, I use the word suggested because all those are inspired stratagems. It is not born out of this hexagram, but it's inspired from this hexagram. So then again, it is just a container for you to consider. That means each of the stratagem is just a container for you to think about it, think through, but you need to fill in the meat into the container. That means the content, the whatever real thing that fit to your situation. Okay, that fit to your situation. All situations are different, but they can be similar. So once you have a container, you just think of, what should I put it in? What's the content that I need to put it into the container? So you see stratagems as a container, but you need to fill in the content that fits the situation that you are in. So any quick questions before I end off this module 3? Any quick question? Are you okay so far? If you're okay with the pace and with the content so far, and you can follow me, type a yes in the chat box.